Welcome back to Tiny Ice, where I share bits from my trip to Antarctica in 2 minutes or less. We have officially passed the second half of our Tiny Ice series, so if you're new here, check out the playlist to see all the topics that we've already covered in English and Spanish. In this second half, I want to talk more about the science that I learned and focus specifically on the South Pole, which might lead you to ask, which South Pole? When you use the term South Pole, people generally know what you're talking about. In my experience, they usually think about Santa Claus first and then think directly opposite of that. I don't blame them. I love Christmas. But technically, there are multiple South Poles that anyone can be referring to. So today we're going to cover the 3 main ones. Ready? Let's go. First up is the geographic South Pole. This is designated by exactly 90 degrees south. It's where all the lines of longitude converge at the bottom of the Earth. If you're standing at the geographic South Pole, every direction that you look in is north. In fact, you can walk or run around the marker and hit every point of longitude, essentially walking through every single time zone. If you're curious, the South Pole operates on New Zealand time. There is a sign to mark this location with quotes from the first explorers to reach the South Pole only 5 weeks apart, Roald Amundsen and Robert F. Scott. Next to the South Pole is a unique marker that is designed and made by the Winterover crew. Every New Year, there's a tradition where everyone gathers around and they unveil the new marker. It's really special, and all the markers throughout the years have been so beautiful and detailed. Because the South Pole is on a giant, shifting ice sheet, this sign and marker have to be physically moved about 33 feet every year to show exactly where 90 degrees south is. Up next is the magnetic South Pole. This is what your compass is detecting. I didn't get to visit this one because it's actually about 1,700 miles away from the geographic South Pole and continues to move around 6 to 9 miles northwest every single year. And finally, the ceremonial South Pole, which you might have seen if you look up pictures of people that have visited, because this is the spot to get a cool photo. If you watched my last video, then you already know all the history behind it, but basically it's a really cool metal sphere on a striped pole surrounded by 12 flags of the original countries that signed the Antarctic Treaty. It's right in front of the station and only a very short walk from the geographic South Pole. In fact, you have a pretty great view of it from the dining area. It's the perfect way to start your day with a warm cup of coffee, look out and see how overcast and cold it's going to be. So obviously the 2 South Poles that I did get to see were the ceremonial and the geographic one. I think I went to the geographic one first because I had to read the sign for myself and really take in where in the world I was. When you first read the quotes on the sign, they might sound a little lackluster, but there's actually an incredible story behind them. Amundsen and Scott participated in essentially a race to the South Pole, and while Amundsen and his men made it home alive, Scott and his men suffered a different fate. There's a book called The Worst Journey in the World that I highly recommend if you want to read all about it. Thanks for stopping by for some Tiny Ice. Stay tuned for more bits from my trip to Antarctica. See you later!